Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the greatest selection of tracks in the Mario Kart series. With 72 tracks currently in the game and 24 more on the way, it's getting clearer to see that this is the biggest and best Mario Kart game. Despite that though, one criticism I hear about this game over and over again has to do with its character roster. There are currently 42 playable characters, with some having alternate costumes, which is a pretty good number. Looking at who is on that roster though does cause some issues. Baby Rosalina, Pink Gold Peach? Yeah, there are a lot of filler characters here, despite how many other Mario characters that there are in the series that could have been added. In fact, there are about 30 characters who have been playable in the Mario Kart series that do not make an appearance in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, full disclosure, I don't really care. Drabons is here, that's all that matters. In today's video, I want to take a look at who these characters are, talk about if I want them back, and talk about if I think they will come back. With Mario Kart 8 Deluxe getting random new additions like the ability to play with custom items, Nintendo randomly dropping a new character doesn't seem that far out of the realm of possibility. I'll be looking at every past game, including the arcade games and even Mario Kart Tour, just so we have a complete idea of who they could add. But with that said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's jump right into our first game, Super Mario Kart. Unlike the Super Smash Bros. Series, the Mario Kart franchise hasn't been as generous to its starting roster, as many characters from here have come and gone over time. Kinda wish they would cut Luigi from Smash Bros. Though. Taking a look at this roster, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Toad, and Yoshi have been in every Mario Kart game, Koopa has been erased, brought back, killed, and then brought back again, but the final character hasn't been playable in any mainline titles since this game. That character is the often forgotten Donkey Kong Jr. Yeah, for those of you who haven't played this game, Donkey Kong himself wasn't actually playable in the first Mario Kart. He's playable in every game after this one though, which also gives a pretty clear explanation as to why Donkey Kong Jr. was never brought back. Donkey Kong is just a lot more popular than his father? Man, I don't know, Donkey Kong lore is confusing. Honestly, it's a bit surprising Donkey Kong Jr. was playable in the series at all. I tried to do a bit of research as to why, and Odyssey Central first I know, but I couldn't really find a good answer, so I'm gonna guess it has something to do with Rare making the Donkey Kong we know today. Well anyway, pushing his mysterious inclusion aside, do I think he should return? Well honestly, I think every character should return so we can have a Smash Ultimate moment with Mario Kart, but relatively to the other characters coming up, honestly I still think he should. Like it or not, he's one of the original 8, so seeing him entirely erased is kinda sad. Well actually, not entirely. See, he was eventually added into Mario Kart Tour with the unique gimmick of still being stylized as an SNES sprite. Seeing as he's at this point a completely retro character, adding him into Deluxe in this pixelated form could be really fun. If they decide to add him in at some point, then this is exactly how I'd want them to do it. Since he was a character in the original game, I do think he's got a pretty good shot of coming back too. He's not the most likely character, there are a few more that I think are a bit more likely than him, but he's still got a good shot. Again, this is all assuming Nintendo does decide to do DLC characters in the future. Both Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart Super Circuit have the same character lineup of 8 characters who have been in every Mario Kart game since Mario Kart 64, so it's safe to say there are no cut characters from either of those games. Double Dash is when the character roster started to get a bit more interesting, and there are a decent amount of characters here that are not present in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Double Dash had the gimmick of 2 characters per kart, meaning every character also had to have a partner to drive with. Most characters were pretty easy to pair. Mario had Luigi, Peach had Daisy, Toad had his imagination. Yeah, fun fact, this is the first game to ever have Toadette.
If I had a nickel for every
Fairly popular Mario character to be made as a doubles partner in a spin-off game,
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
4 of these partner characters are not present as playable characters in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. First off, we have one that's a bit of a surprising exclusion, Birdo, who acts as Yoshi's partner in this game. Now, unlike Donkey Kong Jr., Birdo was actually still a fairly popular character. She also appeared in Mario Kart Wii, and more recently has been playable in titles like Mario Party Superstars and even Mario Strikers through its last update. In fact, Birdo is in Mario Kart 8, just not as a playable character. She's featured on a billboard on Royal Raceway, which does make her being missing feel even stranger. Honestly, I'm not sure why she isn't here. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Birdo fan personally, but she's certainly popular enough to race with Cat Peach. So do I want her back? Absolutely, she's earned it. Do I think Nintendo would want her back? Well, seeing as she was just added as DLC for another Mario spin-off, I'd say she's pretty likely to return if they ever want to add more characters. Our next Double Dash character is Paratroopa, partner for Koopa. Yeah, of the Double Dash characters, Paratroopa is definitely the lamest. I mean, I've got nothing against all 3 Paratroopa fans out there, but I think everyone can agree that this guy really doesn't need to be a character. At best, I think he could be an alternate costume, which we will talk about more when we get to Tour, but as an entirely different character, he just comes off as a waste. I mean, if they wanted a partner for Koopa, But yeah, do I want him back? Not really, unless everyone else is coming back. Do I think he will come back? Definitely not. He's pretty much the last character on the list of character additions. Alright, back to characters people actually care about. Our next guy is Diddy Kong, who is obviously Donkey Kong's partner. He's pretty much the Luigi of the Donkey Kong series, being the main player 2 character. That made him a very natural fit as a partner character, and he's even pretty good as a character by himself. Like Birdo, he was also lucky enough to be in Mario Kart Wii, so he's another character that was a pretty surprising cut in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's not like Diddy Kong has gone down in popularity. In fact, he's probably doing better than ever as he's in Smash Bros and plenty of other Mario spin-offs. So he's an easy yes for both if I want him and if he's likely. He might even be the most likely cut character to come over, as it feels so strange to only have Donkey Kong himself to represent the Donkey Kong Country series. Plus, they may even want to do some Donkey Kong DLC characters to line up with them being in the karts in the Mario movie. I mean, I think that'd be a perfect time to drop them anyway. Our final Double Dash character is certainly the most interesting to talk about, that being Petey Piranha, partner for King Boo. What, you don't see the resemblance? He has never been playable in the Mario Kart series again after this game, excluding Tor, which has almost everyone. While he is definitely a decently popular character, of the people on the roster, he definitely makes the most sense to cut. Okay, well, besides you. On top of the minor popularity issue, Petey Piranha actually has a pretty unique problem being his size. While yeah, the Mario Kart series has never really been super accurate with its sizes, we'll get to a character that displays that really well later, Petey Piranha is the biggest character they put in a kart. They definitely could shrink him down a bit more, but that might disappoint some people, and so Nintendo may not want to add him in due to possible issues he may cause. That being said, he's not completely off the table to make a return. He was added back to Tor, and he still makes occasional appearances in game. So for me personally, I'd be really happy to see him come back, as I think him being so big is honestly really funny. As for likelihood though, I'm not really too sure. There aren't too many people begging for his return, so I think he may be the least likely character we've talked about so far besides Paratroopa. I really hope I get proven wrong though. Petey Piranha is awesome. Mario Kart DS took a bit of a cut to its roster, going from 20 to 12 characters. Despite that though, there is surprisingly one character here who did not make it to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. He's one of the most bizarre inclusions to any Mario Kart game, more so than even Paratroopa. That character is Rob the Robot. He's not even from the Mario series or a Mario adjacent series like Donkey Kong Country, he's from the real life series. This is several years before he was even playable in Smash Bros. While there were solid explanations for the other characters we've talked about so far to be added to the series, Rob feels like the most random character yet. Despite that though, I really love this inclusion. Yeah, he may not be from the Mario series, but neither is the rat dog Isabelle, so I don't think that should be a problem anymore. With the roster as small as DS's was, it's kind of cute that they made room for this nearly forgotten part of Nintendo's past. So yeah, I definitely want to see him come back, more than anyone we've talked about so far in fact. As for likelihood though, well that's a different story. Seeing as he is a character outside the Mario franchise, he's probably not a priority to make a return. Plus if they were to do another Mario outsider character, I'd want it to be someone like Kirby first. To give Rob some credit here though, he's still more likely than Paratroopa. Oh, and if they do bring Rob back, please let the Rob LGS kart come back too. That's the funniest kart in the whole series, right next to the Mercedes. Mario Kart Wii is the game that I hear most people say has the best roster in the entire series. While I definitely agree it's a fantastic roster, I mean Dry Bones is here, that's all I need, I don't know if I'd say it's better than Mario Kart 8. The reason I think people say that is because of the cut characters from this game, who all happen to be some pretty big hitters. We already talked about two of them, Diddy Kong and Birdo, which leaves us with just one more Mario Kart Wii character to talk about. Most people would call him the face of Mario Kart Wii, the main man himself, Funky Kong. I can't think of a single person who dislikes this guy. I mean, he's just so much fun. First off, his inclusion was a pretty big surprise. If you were to pick a third Donkey Kong Country rep, Dixie Kong would probably have been your choice, but instead we got this guy who's just a whole lot of fun. I mean, he's pretty much just a side character in the Donkey Kong Country series, so him making it into Mario Kart at all is just hilarious. On top of that though, he just so happens to be the best character in the game. So not only is he popular for just being a cool character, he's also chosen a lot to do better in races. I think Mario Kart Wii really shot Funky Kong into stardom, which the series hasn't really done for any other character. I personally think he and he alone is the reason people prefer Wii's roster, and that's totally understandable. On the other side though, it's pretty obvious why he was cut. Besides Rob, he was the farthest removed character from the Mario series up until this point. But with non-Mario characters becoming a lot more common and the hype around Funky Kong being as strong as ever, I actually do think he is very likely to make a return if they ever decide to add more characters. He's just so beloved by pretty much every Mario Kart fan that Nintendo would have to be stupid to not bring him back. In fact, I think he might be the most likely character, because if anyone is added back before him, I think Nintendo knows that people will just be more upset than they were before. That's just the power of Funky Kong. Well anyways, after praising one single character, let's bully two more. Yeah, Mario Kart 7 has the weirdest roster in the series. I mean, no Waluigi? No Dry Bones? But on top of the weird cuts, there were also some weird additions, 2 of which have never reappeared in any Mario Kart game, and yes, that even includes Tor. First, we have the single weirdest character addition in the Mario Kart series, the Honey Queen. I mean, at least Paratroopa had a reason to be in, and Rob was a cool reference. The Honey Queen is just, I don't know, here. She's this random side character in Mario Galaxy who I don't think even a single person was begging for in Mario Kart. I mean, in the main series, she's ginormous, so fitting her inside of a cart feels super weird. At least when they shrunk Petey Piranha, he still got to be tall. Honey Queen is just so squished to a point where it doesn't feel right at all. I guess they included her so they could have a B-themed battle map? Man, I don't know. I'm really not looking for her to be added back again. I highly doubt Nintendo was either, considering she's not even come back for Tor. You know what? I'm gonna say it. She's less likely than Paratroopa, because at least he might be an alternate costume for Koopa. Without a single fan in sight, I think killing off Honey Queen is the best decision. Our next character is slightly less weird, but still not one that I see many people being fans of. That character is the Wiggler. Now personally, I'm tired of the Wiggler already since everyone uses that cart online in Mario Kart 8, but that's a different story. If I were to guess, they may have included the Wiggler because they already had Wigglers from remaking Maple Treeway, but other than that, yeah, this is a very odd choice. They are a decently iconic Mario enemy though, so I'm not against them being here. I'm just surprised they got added before enemies like the Hammer Bro or Kamek. Unlike the Honey Queen, Wiggler's implementation was actually fairly well done. I think the way he sticks out of the cart is pretty funny, so I'm overall much more on board with Wiggler eventually making a return. As I said though, they're not even in Mario Kart Tour yet, which has almost every Mario series Mario Kart character. At the very least, I do think they are more likely than Paratroopa and Honey Queen to make a return, but that's far from me saying I think he would come back if they want to add more characters. Now that's all of the characters from the mainline Mario Kart games, but that's only about a third of the total Mario Kart characters not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There are 2 spin-off Mario Karts that have a lot of interesting characters on their roster, the arcade series and Tour, which is technically mainline I guess, but no one really counts it. Let's take a look at the arcade games first because they have a much weirder roster. What's interesting about these titles is that they were developed by Bandai Namco, meaning that alongside Mario characters, a few Namco characters got a chance to race as well. There were a total of 5. We'll run through these guys fairly quickly. First off, the main man Pac-Man himself is the only one I can ever really see coming back. I mean, if they were ever to do third-party characters, he'd fit right in alongside the other Mario characters. Plus, he's one of the most famous gaming icons, so he's a natural choice for a third-party character. In fact, he is actually in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a Mii costume, but only if you use his amiibo. That being said though, yeah, I don't think he's very likely. Third-party characters have never been seen outside of these arcade games, and I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo would want to keep it that way. I do like Pac-Man and would certainly be excited for him to come, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon, especially as 8 DLC. Mrs. Pac-Man, being the female version of Pac-Man, is in a similar but way worse boat. Her only chance is if Pac-Man comes, and even then it's very unlikely. I mean, there are gender swaps for the Inkling and Villager, so it's not off the table, but this all relies on Pac-Man himself getting added first, and like I said, he's unlikely. The final Pac-Man character of the 5 was Blinky the Ghost. Now if it was my boy Clyde, I would say he's basically guaranteed to return, but since it's Blinky, no one cares. Easily the least likely character we've talked about so far, way worse than even Honey Queen. But that leaves us with the 2 non-Pac-Man Namco characters, and they're pretty weird. First off is Mamechi. Now in all honesty, I had absolutely no idea who this character was before doing research for this. From what I've seen, they appear to be a Tamagotchi, so cool, figured that out. Yeah, they're never coming back. I don't really want them back either, they just feel really out of place. Don-chan is from... Now, I did actually recognize this character beforehand, but that doesn't mean they're an iconic enough character deserving to be in Mario Kart. Unlike the Pac-Man cast, Don-chan and Mamechi feel far too weird to ever justify coming back. They're easily the least likely characters to return, and spoilers, they're not gonna get passed. Cute additions for a Namco-made spin-off, but definitely not characters I'd add to the mainline series anytime soon. That brings us to our final game of the video, Mario Kart Tour. This is by far the largest and most exciting roster in the series, including banger characters like Ninja Shy Guy, Mario King, and of course, Light Blue Toad Pit Crew. Alright, so Tour may or may not have 1 or 2 filler characters, but that's because a lot of them act as alternate costumes for other characters, which is something I really want the mainline Mario Kart series to have. There are so many though that covering them each individually would take ages, so just know that it would be cool if they came into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and SNES Mario is the best one, though I'm not really sure if that can even be counted. Other than that, Tour did bring over quite a few actual new characters, many of which are some I've been waiting for a long time now. First off, we have the Hammer Bro, who also has Boomerang, Ice, and Fire variants. Despite how annoying these guys are in the main Mario series, I've always felt like they deserve to be in Mario Kart long before this. I would definitely be happy to see them come over to 8 Deluxe. Not as much as Funky Kong, but I think they'd be a great addition. Considering they're pretty iconic, I don't think they're too unlikely either. Monty Mole, on the other hand, is a bit weaker. They're probably around the Wigglers level of popularity, making this a sort of weird weird choice. Not that I'm against the multi-mole, I think he's kinda fun, I just don't see him coming to 8 Deluxe before a lot of other characters we have coming up, and even most of what we talked about before. Now we have the character from Tor that I personally want to see come to the main series the most, Pauline. Yeah, that's mostly because I may or may not like Mario Odyssey, but she definitely deserves it. Not only is she one of the original Mario characters next to Mario and Donkey Kong, but she's had a very large resurgence in popularity due to Mario Odyssey. Honestly, I think she would have been in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had it come out after Odyssey, seeing as Pauline has been included in almost every Mario spin-off since, excluding the Mario parties for some reason. For her large rise in fame, I think she might just be the most likely character to come back to 8 Deluxe as DLC, right next to Funky Kong. Everyone likes Pauline, and Nintendo clearly knows this, so I think she's got a very good chance. As for a character I don't want, Peachette. Yeah, I know I said I wouldn't cover costume characters, but she does have an entirely different icon from both Peach and Toadette, so she is sadly a unique character. We already have these two dorks, we don't need another Peach variant. Captain Toad would be cool though. He's another character that's technically not a costume, but at this point, Captain Toad and Normal Toad are pretty separate characters. Seeing as Captain Toad has his own spin-off games, I think he's got a good shot of making it into 8 Deluxe. Is he the most likely? Definitely not. I think Funky, Pauline, Diddy, and Birdo are all more likely, but I still think he's got a good chance. Oh, and I'm also just gonna say Peachette is unlikely as a cope. Okay, 4 more kind of costume characters. Dr. Mario, Dr. Luigi, Dr. Peach, and Dr. Bowser. They're included separately because they all use pills for logos instead of their normal character logos. Anyways, it's honestly a bit surprising Dr. Mario has never been in Mario Kart. He's pretty popular from both his own series and the Smash Bros. Series where he's his own character. In fact, he's the only Mario character on the Smash roster that's not in Mario Kart 8, so I think he's about as likely as Captain Toad to make a comeback. Of the two, I think Captain Toad has a slight edge since he's a bit more tied to the mainline Mario series and Mario already has a lot of alternates, but it's close. The other 3 doctors though I don't really see coming. I think 1 doctor is more than enough. But if they were to add another doctor, I hope it's Fire Dr. Mario. He's awesome. Okay, that's it for the technically not costume characters. The rest of the guys we have to cover are completely original. Nabbit was a really surprising addition, but one that I really like. He's only been featured in New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Luigi U, so seeing him still get attention is kinda cool. Do I think it's likely he'll come to 8? No, sadly not, but I would be very happy if he did. Of the characters added to Tor, he's probably the most interesting addition to me. I've always liked Nabbit, so I do hope his appearance in Tor is a sign of him holding on from fading to obscurity. For a pretty iconic Mario villain though, we have King Bob-omb. I've always liked this guy, and it's cool to see him sort of making a comeback. He was never truly gone as he's made a lot of small appearances and spin-offs, but a playable Mario Kart and Mario Golf appearances of late are definitely his biggest roles. I don't think he's too likely to return in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe though, probably below Dr. Mario, but I'm not gonna write him off. He's a fan favorite boss, and while not known for being a Mario Kart character, that could definitely carry over to him making his way onto a main title. Trudge and Chuck is another Mario enemy that's had a pretty major resurgence as of late. I've always personally liked these guys, so seeing them make it into a mainline Mario title would make me pretty happy. I don't think it's very likely they would, but it also wasn't very likely that they would come back at all, so anything is possible. Dixie Kong is our final Kong of the video, and yeah, she should definitely be a Mario Kart. Of the Kongs we've talked about though, she's probably the least likely, seeing as Diddy Kong is iconic by himself, and the other 2 are closely tied to the Mario Kart franchise, but she's still got a decent chance if those other guys ever make it in. But now we've got the single most snubbed character in not only the Mario Kart series, but probably all of Mario spin-offs. That's of course, Kamek. The story of this guy throughout the series is a bizarre one. He was planned to be added all the way back in Mario Kart 64 before he got replaced by Donkey Kong. And finally, there was some evidence to show that he was even planned for Mario Kart 8 before eventually getting scrapped as well. He is one of the most iconic secondary Mario villains, appearing in some way in several mainline Mario titles since Super Mario World, even being Bowser's parental figure as seen in Yoshi's Island. Pretty much anyone who's played a Mario game knows who this guy is, even if they don't know his name. So the fact that baby Rosalina made it into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe over him is insane to me. I am so happy Tor finally gave him a chance, but he needs to come to a mainline title already. I think he's up there with Funky and Pauline as a must-have if they plan to add more characters later. To me, he's the face of Cup Mario Kart characters, so I really hope he'll get his chance to finally race in the main series sometime soon. But anyways, that's it for this video. Are you all big Light Blue Birdo fans and hope she gets added into the next Mario Kart? Let me know in the comments. It was a lot of fun looking back on all the old Mario Kart games, so I hope you all enjoyed this video as well. I've been playing the series a lot more since the Booster Course pack dropped earlier this year, so making videos on the series has been a lot of fun for me. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.